Hey everybody, Jason Burmis here, and it is time to go over the latest revelations in the infamous NXIVM trial that is now taking place and really kind of seeping its way into the mainstream in a lot of the things that we have been reporting on now for months and months. However, I kind of want to go over some of the spin out there where I feel like the media is trying to take the direction of the public view of this case and why that is important. Now, if you've been following this, you know that we have been reporting that indeed Hillary Clinton was financially connected to NXIVM. And now we have the testimony of Mark Vicente, a former member of NXIVM, on how this all worked. Now, if you read the court documents, and we did on We Are Change, Pulse Change, which is now News for a Change, and of course my personal channel, it clearly stated that what was going on was that Claire Bronfman and Nancy Salzman, had promised that they would simply pay back all of their members who donated to Clinton. Now, when did this occur? This occurred all the way back in 2007 for her primary campaign as the Democratic nominee for president. Now, remember, she started off her so-called political career as a U.S. New York senator. Think about that. She didn't live in New York, but after Bill being a president, they moved in office there. They had their residency. She took office. She made connections here in upstate New York. And again, back in 2007, they were basically committing campaign fraud and money laundering. And why were they doing it? Well, the headline says it all. Of course, to curry favor with the Clintons. Think about that. Now, there's a huge connection here that the media absolutely misses. Now, first of all, in the documents, it did not even name Hillary Clinton, despite the fact that the New York Post and others reported on this stuff all the way back in 2007, but they didn't talk about the racketeering charges. They simply reported that she had a cult following, if you will, okay, because they were all donating the max. And, people ask me, well, what does this mean? Well, someone like Claire Bronfman, who is a billionaire, the daughter of Edgar Bronfman, and that's a key point we're going to get into in a moment, she can't just give Hillary Clinton all the money she wants. She has to funnel that money. And of course, that money comes with political favor. Now, here's the real interesting thing. Secretary Clinton there, when she was the Secretary of State, she gave a eulogy, basically, at Bronfman's memorial service. And I have actually played some of that in the We Are Change NXIVM mini documentary from about 8 or 9 months ago. I encourage you to go check that out. But she talks about her fondness for Bronfman and basically how he ended up mentoring her. Now remember, all that stuff happened when? Back in 2007. That bout of money laundering and campaign fraud that is now just coming out into the public arena. The thing is that later on, this is a 2015 article out of the Times-Union, guys, and again, the Times-Union is the local paper that's broken a ton of this stuff before it was on the national scene. Think about this, all the way back in 2015, arrests were only made in the past year, where NXIVM was hacking into the records and private emails between their father, Edgar Bronfman, and Hillary Clinton. You see what's going on here? A cyber espionage, possible blackmail operation with NXIVM. Now, already the conversation is veering towards, he's joking about sex slaves. They're not talking about the underage activity, the fact that child trafficking was originally a part of this, even though it took until March to charge him and Allison Mack of CP and then take it away. Mack makes a deal. It's not quite clear what role she's going to play for the prosecution. They haven't really said anything. She obviously hasn't testified yet. We'll be covering that if she does. But they're moving away from that, and now they're making it more about this megalomaniac Keith Raniere. And I got to tell you, with the information that he possibly had a sexual relationship with Claire Bronfman, that coming up in court documents, not being confirmed, but certainly being discussed, guys. We have to look at that. The fact that the people that were supposedly nude on his phone that were of age, one of them supposedly Sarah Bronfman, the other sister, who's been overseas and likely also would be indicted if she came here. Remember, Claire herself, she makes a Epstein-like sweetheart deal in this situation. You see, through their Rainbow Cultural Garden Children's School, a preschool operation, okay, that they run not only nationwide, but throughout the world. The UK, Mexico, California, Florida, okay? They're funneling girls in with visas sponsored by Claire Bronfman under the pretext that these women are accredited teachers. Instead, what's happening? Well, according to the indictments and the RICO charges, we read the RICO document, well, they were basically being used to go teach these kids languages. So in other words, they're with preschoolers and be used as sexual partners for Raniere and others in this DOS NXIVM side project. Okay? We already know about the 15-year-old national. We know that she had 3 sisters. We know that one of those sisters was indeed one of the women who was locked up for 2 years by Lauren Salzman, Nancy Salzman's daughter. All these people were talking about sexual relationships with Raniere, by the way. Okay? So the daughter pleads guilty to basically kidnapping and enslaving 2 women for 2 years in a room. And then, according to those documents, when she showed interest in another man other than Raniere, after a strict diet, apparently one of them was down to 88 pounds, guys, okay? That was pushed by Bronfman, all right? They made good on their promise to take her back to Mexico. They drove her down to Mexico, threatened her, had documentation there, all of this in the court papers. And how much time is Claire Bronfman going to get for her guilty plea? Well, she's going to pay $6 million, a pittance for that family. She actually, as soon as Raniere was arrested, put down $5 million for his legal fund. So $6 million, whatever. I'm sure she spent well more on her own lawyers. By the way, Garagos, who was connected to Avenatti as being his lawyer, and even named in a separate suit, well, it turned out in court, before she made the plea deal, that Avenatti was also secretly representing her. Just the scum of the earth coming together, folks. The scum of the earth. All right? So she's now going to receive somewhere between 21 and 72 months. That will be the sentence. Of course, whenever she is sentenced, she'll probably get time off for good behavior and every other, perk that you could possibly get. And if she, in fact, gets sentenced to more than 27 months, just a little over 2 years, she can appeal that decision. So anything under 27 months, she cannot appeal. 27 months and over, she can. And remember, all the trafficking stuff gone. The Rainbow Cultural Garden still in operation in many places. That's not over. There's some schools. One school, I believe outside of Miami is the one that I covered, did close down. But that seems to be gone in the news. So you got to ask yourself, they were trying to buy political favor with Clinton back in 2007 in her run to the presidency. Clinton already heavily connected to their father. It seems there becomes a falling out later on where NXIVM hacks into their private emails. And by the way, when I went to the NXIVM Symposium in March that the Times-Union, again, doing the best work on this, held, one of the lawyers who was in court and actually beat NXIVM in one of these hacking cases, discussed it at length and in detail. And it was a lot of information, I'll tell you, that is nowhere else, that you're not going to see in the mainstream media. And I believe he's still litigating a whole other case. So I believe it's really important that we go beyond, Keith Raniere calling women piggies and, these videos that are now being, sex slayers and dungeons. Yes, it shows he's a twisted sociopath. He is a twisted sociopath. He talks about corrupting people's minds in those videos. He talks about, basically being a devil in another video. He talks about having people killed for his beliefs in another hidden video. It goes on and on and on, but I promise you, this operation goes well beyond just Raniere, even beyond the Bronfmans. Are the Bronfmans the head puppet masters? I'm not quite sure. You know, this reaches out to Salinas' son, the ex-Mexican president down in Mexico, and he hasn't been charged or indicted. You know, this is the federal case, folks. And, you know, hopefully the CP and other allegations that they brought up in this court case will be tried in a state court as well and not just fall by the wayside. Guys, if you like this video, please hit that thumbs up button, subscribe, get in the comments, tell Luke that you like when we do a little live stream action here, especially with breaking news like this. And most importantly, guys, get out there and be the change you want to see in the world.